In jazz improvisation, chord substitutions are a powerful tool for the creation of color. Polyphonic instruments can use these substitutions freely, but single-note improvisers can also imply these harmonies in order to enhance their resolutions. The rub between the original and implied harmonies creating interesting tension. Today, we'll talk about chord substitutions, including a couple of different types we can use and the differences in the tension and resolution they create, and I'll give you some sample lines you can use to get to know these sounds. Let's get into it. For our purposes today, discussing chord substitutions, we are going to be using these substitutions entirely over the most common chord progression in jazz music, that of a 2-5-1, which we will discuss in the key of F major for simplicity's sake, giving us G minor 7, C7, F major 7. Something we should know about a 2-5-1 is that the most important element of this chord progression is the relationship between the 5 chord and the 1 chord. The 5-to-1 relationship is a huge part of all Western music and is also, I think of as a great stand-in for our concept of tension and resolution. Our 5 chord being our tension and our 1 chord being our resolution. Our 5 chord has tension for a couple of different reasons, but as jazz musicians, the most important reason being the inclusion of the interval of a tritone between our 3rd and flat 7, which then want to resolve in contrary motion to the 1 and 3rd of our 1 chord. In jazz music, we'll often increase the tension of our 5 chord by adding alterations to the extensions. These will be in the form of notes like our flat 9, our sharp 9, our sharp 11, or our flat 13. These notes increase the dissonance within our 5 chord, but they also introduce notes that are not diatonic to our home key of F major, further increasing the feeling of tension and resolution created by that motion from our 5 chord to our 1 chord. If we simplify this relationship down to that of simply tension and resolution, we realize that we can replace our 2-5 with anything that adds tension to then be resolved as we move to our 1 chord. Probably the most common chord substitution in jazz music is what we know as a tritone substitution. We get a tritone substitution by replacing a chord with one of the same type a tritone away. This is most commonly applied over our 5 chord. So if we tritone sub our C7, we get the chord of a G flat 7, which then again increases that feeling of resolution as we move to our 1 chord. Something we should know about a tritone substitution is that aside from bass motion, the tritone substitution is for all intents and purposes the same thing as a fully altered 5 chord, as the chord tones of a fully altered 5 chord all function as chord tones of our tritone sub. We can also tritone substitute the 2 chord in our 2-5-1 chord progression, giving us a chord progression of D flat minor 7, G flat 7, F major 7. We can do this a couple of different ways. One, we could replace just our 5 chord using a quick 2-5 tritone substitution, which would give us an overall chord progression of G minor 7, D flat minor 7, G flat 7, F major. Or we can replace the entire 2-5 playing D flat minor 7, G flat 7, F major 7. This second form is going to create the most tension as the rub between the D flat minor 7 on top of our original G minor 7 is going to create the most tension. Here are a couple of examples of the use of tritone substitution in some of these different forms we've discussed. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. The next most common chord substitution for our 2-5-1 is what's often referred to as the backdoor 2-5, which is 4 minor 7 going to flat 7-7, resolving to our 1 major 7. We can explain these chords as being borrowed from the parallel minor key or F Aeolian. Again, we can use these chords either quickly to replace just our 5 chord, giving us a total chord progression of G minor 7, B flat minor 7, E flat 7, F major, or replacing our entire 2-5, giving us B flat minor 7, E flat 7, F major 7. Most of our substitutions in today's video will be able to use in either of these ways, either with a quick 2-5 replacing just our 5 chord, or replacing our entire 2-5. Here are a couple of example phrases using the backdoor 2-5-1 chord progression. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope you're enjoying this video on chord substitutions. I just want to really quickly let you know that if you're interested in any of the materials you see in today's video, that they are available for purchase on my website. The link is in the description below. Also on my website, you can find a contact form if you're interested in private lessons, as well as all the other materials from my other jazz educational content. Thank you very much. In order to consider other substitutions we can use over our 2-5 in our 2-5-1 chord progression, I think it would be helpful to take a look at our circle of fourths and fifths. You'll notice that our Tritone Substitution 2-5 was borrowed from the key of B major, or what we could also think of as C flat major, which is 6 steps away on our circle. In turn, our Backdoor Substitution was borrowed from the key of A flat major, which is 3 steps away in the flat lying direction on our circle. With this in mind, we can borrow from the other flat lying keys in between in order to increase our tension and resolution. So we can also borrow from the key of D flat major or the key of G flat major. This next substitution for our 2-5 replaces our 2-5 with that of 4 steps away in the flat lying direction on our circle of fourths and fifths, or in our case from the key of D flat major, and I often refer to as the side door substitution. It gives us the chord progression of E flat minor 7 to A flat 7 to F major 7. You're going to find that this particular substitution is going to give us more unexpected note choices and dissonances than our previous substitutions. Here are a couple of sample phrases illustrating this particular substitution. 1, 2, 3, 4. This next substitution borrows our 2-5 from that 5 steps away on our circle of fourths and fifths, or in our case from the key of G flat major, giving us a total chord progression of A flat minor 7 to D flat 7 to F major 7. You'll notice that this means that we're borrowing from a key up a half step. So for that reason, I refer to this as the sidestepping substitution, as sidestepping is a common technique for creating dissonance by playing up a half step and is a very common form of playing out. You'll see that this particular substitution will create great deals of tension because of the rub that's going to be created when played over the original key a half step below. Here are some sample phrases of the sidestepping substitution. 1, 2, 3, 4. This next substitution is the chromatically descending substitution, and again borrows from up a half step, but will be implied entirely over our 2 chord, giving us a chord progression of something like A flat minor 7, D flat 7, G minor 7, C7 to F major. This particular substitution is often used as a reharmonization over songs like Have You Met Miss Jones? One, two, three, four. Our last substitution for 2-5-1 in today's video comes from the John Coltrane 3-tonic system composition Countdown. If you want to learn more about Coltrane changes and 3-tonic systems, I made another video on this topic, which I will link right here. In this case, we're going to end up with the chord progression of G minor 7, A flat 7, D flat major 7, E7, A major 7, C7, F major 7. What you'll notice is that we're very quickly moving between keys that are very far apart from one another, leading to great levels of dissonance and really unexpected note choices. Here are some sample phrases using this particular reharmonization. Thank you so much for watching this video on chord substitutions. I hope it's shown you a couple of different ways that you can think about substituting chords over a 2-5-1. Again, if you're interested in any of the contents of today's video, they are available for purchase on my website. The link is in the description below. Also on my website, you can find a contact form if you're interested in private lessons, as well as PDFs from my other videos on jazz improvisation. Thank you very much, and happy practicing.